The wind carried the scent of rain long before any cloud touched the horizon. It rolled over the mesas and stony ridges with a low, mournful whistle, lifting dust from the earth in swirling ribbons that danced across the open range. Jake Calder pulled his hat lower against the gust and squinted toward the crimson glow of dusk, where the last rays of sun spilled over the mountains like molten copper. His horse twitched its ears, uneasy, as if listening to something he could not yet hear. He had been riding since first light, following a trail so faint it barely existed, a trail left by a man he believed had stolen one of his mares. But as hours passed, Jake felt less sure the hoofprints belonged to the thief at all. The tracks were lighter, quicker, almost playful, as if whoever made them was in no hurry to escape. And yet he rode on, partly out of stubbornness, partly because the wide, red deserts of Arizona Territory had a way of drawing a man farther than he intended to go. When he reached the small ravine, carved years ago by a flash flood, the wind died suddenly. The silence settled deep and heavy, like blankets thrown over the land. Jake's horse stopped, its nostrils flared. Someone was behind him. He didn't hear a step, didn't hear a breath, just a voice, soft but steady, with an undercurrent of challenge. "You don't remember me, cowboy." Jake froze. The tone was unfamiliar, but something about it tugged at a distant place in his memory, a place he had long assumed time had eroded. He turned slowly. A woman stood on the ridge above him, silhouetted against the fading sky. Her figure was outlined in amber light, the breeze teased strands of her long dark hair. She wore soft deerskin leggings and a woven belt, and around her shoulders fell a blanket patterned in bold, geometric dyes. But it was her eyes that held him still, dark, watchful, and unblinking, like she was measuring the truth of him. "I'm the girl you loved as a child," she said. "The one you said you'd never forget." The words hit him harder than any bullet could have. For a moment, Jake could not speak. His chest tightened, his breath caught. He stared at her face. Its lines sharper now, her cheekbones more defined, the innocence softened into a quiet, fierce womanhood, but something about her expression, the shape of her mouth, the tilt of her chin, it nudged something inside him. A memory stirred like an ember finding breath. "Lena," he said at last, the name escaping as a whisper. She didn't flinch, but the smallest curve appeared at the corner of her lips, not quite a smile. "I wondered how long it would take." Jake dismounted without thinking, his boots landing in the dry sand with a muted thud. He took a step toward her, then stopped, unsure of the distance between who they had been and who they had become. Lena descended the slope with easy balance, her moccasins silent on the rock. When she reached the bottom, the dying sun cast golden highlights on her hair. "It's been a long time," Jake said, and the understatement felt foolish even as he spoke it. 14 years. Her gaze swept over him, searching, as if confirming something she already knew. 14 since you rode away with your family and promised you'd return. Jake swallowed. He had been 10 then. She had been 9. They had been neighbors of a sort, his parents tending a small homestead near Apache lands, her family often passing through for trade or water. They had met by chance, as children do, without the boundaries adults fought over. They had raced barefoot in the sand, climbed rocks, skipped stones over the creek that once cut through this very ravine. He remembered a girl with laughter bright as sunlight, who taught him the names of desert flowers and who beat him 3 times. Out of 5 at every game they invented. He had forgotten her face only because time had forced the details away, but the feeling. The certainty that he had once cared for someone deeply, instinctively. That had lingered, tucked beneath years of ranch work, long rides, and harder truths. "I meant to come back," Jake said quietly. "Things got in the way." Lena's eyes darkened, not with anger but something else, something guarded. "Things always get in the way for people like you. Promises don't mean the same in your world." He felt the sting of that but didn't deny it. His life had become a long chain of broken intentions, plans lost to drought, to debts, to the death of his father when he was 16. Returning to the old homestead had never been possible again. Even now, approaching 24, he drifted more than he lived, a cowboy with no real ranch to claim. "Why are you here?" he asked gently. "How did you find me?" "I wasn't looking for you," she said. "You rode into my land." Jake's brows knit. "Your land." Lena lifted her chin, pride radiating from her in quiet waves. "I am You would call it Apache, born to this territory. My people still travel here. My family still gathers here. I know every trail, every brush of wind. I saw you tracking someone, so I followed. It struck Jake then. The tracks he'd been following might not belong to a thief at all. They might belong to her. Was it you I was trailing? He asked. Lena didn't answer right away. She stepped closer, her gaze steady and unreadable. Maybe I wanted to see what kind of man you've become. Jake felt his pulse kick. She stood barely a yard away now, close enough that he noticed the faint scent of cedar and smoke clinging to her blanket. Close enough that he could see the tiny scar near her eyebrow, one he remembered now, from when she'd slipped climbing a rock as a child. He had been the one to help her up. So you knew it was me all along, he said. Her voice dropped, growing softer. Not at first. I saw a rider. Then I saw the way you tracked without rushing, the way you studied signs others would overlook. The way you sit your horse like someone who listens to the land instead of fighting it. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Then I saw your face, and I had to be sure. Jake felt a strange mix of pride and discomfort. You could have called out sooner. And lose the chance to watch the boy I knew move like the man he became. No, she shook her head lightly. Besides, I wasn't certain you'd remember. Her words carried hurt beneath them, old hurt, but still tender. Jake let out a slow breath. I didn't forget you, truly. He hesitated, searching for honesty. I forgot the details, maybe. But not you. The truth of it surprised him even as he said it. I don't think I could have. The faint curve at her lips deepened. You were very sure back then. You made it easy to be sure, he answered, feeling heat rise to his cheeks despite himself. Silence settled between them, not an awkward silence, but one thick with the weight of years lost and memories regained. The light dimmed further, stars began to prick through the indigo sky. Lena lifted her head slightly. You should come with me. It will be dark soon. Jake blinked. Where? To my family's camp. Not far from here. She turned toward the north ridge, then paused when Jake didn't immediately follow. You're not afraid, are you? The challenge in her voice stirred something stubborn in him. I'm afraid of a lot of things, he said, but you've never been one of them. Her eyes softened in a way he hadn't expected. Then come. Jake mounted his horse. Lena moved ahead on foot, swift and sure, barely disturbing the sand. Every time he thought he'd lost sight of her in the growing dark, she appeared again, her silhouette framed by moonlight, her blanket shifting around her like a second skin. They traveled deeper into the canyons, where rock walls glowed with faint reflected starlight. Jake followed in silence, trusting her to lead. It felt strangely natural to fall in step with her again, as if no years had passed at all. After some time, a faint glow flickered between two boulders. As they rounded the bend, Jake saw a small settlement nestled in a sheltered hollow, 3 canvas-covered wickiups, a low fire burning between them, smoke curling like a silver thread into the night. Voices drifted from the camp, soft conversation, laughter, the clattering of metal against stone. When Lena stepped into the circle of firelight, a few heads turned. One older woman smiled with recognition, a younger boy lifted a hand in greeting. Lena responded with a quiet nod before gesturing Jake closer. He dismounted and approached slowly, aware he was a stranger here. But no one recoiled or stared with fear. Instead they watched with calm curiosity, measuring him as Lena had. This is Jake, she said simply to her people. An old friend. The older woman studying him from beside the fire had silver woven through her braids. Her face bore deep lines, but her eyes were warm. You grew tall, she said, as if she remembered him from boyhood. Jake blinked, surprised she might. Lena motioned him to sit. She lowered herself across the fire from him, the flames reflecting in her eyes. Someone handed her a bowl, which she passed to Jake. You've been riding all day, she said. Eat. Jake accepted the food, a simple stew with beans and corn, and felt a gratitude he hadn't expected. As he ate, he listened to the quiet harmony of the camp. The murmur of voices, the crackle of fire, the whisper of wind threading through cliffs above. It was peaceful in a way his own life rarely was. When the others drifted off to rest, Lena remained by the fire. Jake set down his empty bowl and leaned back, stretching his tired legs. Why did you follow me today? He asked finally. Lena looked into the flames, her expression unreadable. Because you were riding toward a place I didn't want you to reach alone. Jake frowned. Which place? She lifted her gaze to him. There are men out here who don't belong. Not mine. Not from the towns. Outsiders. They've taken horses, supplies, and people sometimes. They hunt where they shouldn't. They kill when they're frightened. Her voice hardened. I thought you might be following one of them. Jake felt a chill. You think the man who took my mare is one of those? It's possible, she said. But I didn't see him. Only you. Jake rubbed his jaw. I tracked him north. That path leads toward their camp. Lena's gaze sharpened. Which is why I wanted to stop you. Jake met her eyes. And now I want to know why you'd risk yourself for a horse, she said. Even one that belongs to you. Jake hesitated, thinking. It wasn't just a horse. My father raised that mare's mother before he died. I kept her bloodline going. She's one of the few things I still have of him. He exhaled. I couldn't let her vanish. Not like everything else. Lena's face softened again, just slightly. Then we'll find her. But you won't ride alone. Her confidence stirred something warm in his chest. You'd come with me. I don't leave old friends to walk into danger, she said simply. Then, after a beat, and I'm not sure I want you disappearing again before I decide what to make of you now. Jake felt his breath catch at the honesty in her tone. He swallowed. What do you make of me so far? Lena tilted her head. You're quieter, older, sadder. She paused. But some things haven't changed. Like what? She held his gaze steadily. You still look at the world like you want to understand it. Not control it. She hesitated. I remember liking that. Jake felt heat rise in his chest, unexpected and unsteady. And what about you? He asked softly. You've changed. I had to, she said. The world demanded it. He nodded. For what it's worth, I'm glad I found you again. You didn't find me, she corrected gently. I found you. Jake laughed under his breath. Guess that's true. The fire cracked, sending up a spray of sparks that drifted like fireflies before fading into the dark. Lena leaned back on her hands, watching them disappear. Tomorrow, she said, we follow the trail together. Jake nodded. Tomorrow. They sat in silence for a long moment. Not awkward, not uncertain, just two people rediscovering an old truth. That some connections don't die, even when memory tries to bury them. After a while, Lena rose. You'll sleep near the fire, she said. I'll wake you before sunrise. Jake watched her go, her silhouette moving with an easy confidence that made the shadows themselves seem to part for her. When she disappeared inside one of the wickiups, Jake lay back on the blanket they had given him and stared up at the sky. Stars swirled overhead in 1,000 bright patterns. He closed his eyes, hearing the echo of her voice. I'm the girl you loved as a child. He smiled, just barely. Maybe he hadn't forgotten after all.